Gloria Strode, and welcome to Straightforward. Today we are visiting with our coroner, Buddy Bryan. You are one of the most important elected officials that we have. I think that you are probably one of the most recognizable. People see you on the news, they see you in the community, you work with families, and I just can't even imagine how you do all that you do around the clock, and you've been so faithful, quality care for the citizens, just the utmost respect. And I've seen you outside in the community as you're doing your work, and you never know who's watching you. And so I, unfortunately have seen you in my subdivision, and I stopped one day and I said, now, why are you really in my subdivision? But it was a friend of ours in our community, and was an older person that had been sick for a very long time. And you always have that special touch for all families. Some people, it just depends on who it is as to how they interact. But I've watched you, whether it was the least of them or the most affluent in the community. And why is that? Because you're the native son?
I am. I'm a Columbusite, and I love Columbus, and I love the citizens. Unfortunately, they love me. But you just gave me a lot of praise, and you're going to have my head this big to try to walk.
But it's true. When people do a good job and they make a difference, I think we need to celebrate that. Oftentimes, we celebrate so much stuff that's superficial.
Yes, ma'am.
Just because something is popular or somebody is well known doesn't necessarily mean that they're really making a great contribution to the community. But you are from Columbus.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your home.
Yes, ma'am.
And you take pride in everything that you're doing for the citizens.
Absolutely.
Right. And so you attended public schools.
I did. Elementary school, Brown Avenue. Went to
Really?
Richards Junior High School and Columbus High. Graduated.
Richards.
Richards, yes.
So Brown Avenue Elementary,
Brown.
and that, for the people that don't know where that is, it's near the Farley homes. But it's where we used to have Brookhaven Boulevard,
Right.
which is now
Martin Luther
MLK.
King. That's correct.
And so we see a lot of the school buses there.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that was your elementary school.
Right on.
All right,
Yes,
now, and then went to Richards.
Yes, ma'am.
And Richards is still there, right over there next to Clubview.
It was Richards Junior High when I went there. Now they call it
Richards Middle School. And from there to Columbus High.
Columbus High, yes, ma'am.
Is
I was
it?
in the second class at Richards. It opened in '62, I think, and I was in '63.
Isn't that
Yes, ma'am.
something? Oh my goodness. So you really are Columbus, Georgia.
I am Columbus, Georgia. I
Yes.
represent Columbus, and no matter where I am, what I'm doing, I represent Columbus. And I think that speaks a lot to...
So the school system poured into you,
Mhm.
and then now you have made us proud.
Well, thank
The
you.
native son, no, really. So we're saying Brown Avenue Elementary, Richards Junior High, which is now middle school, and Columbus High.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you're an elected official,
Yes, ma'am.
and you serve all the citizens.
Every one of them.
Every person that, might have a family member pass away, whether it's illness, whether it's a tragedy, they get to meet, as we would say in my neighborhood in East Winter, they're homeboy. You're the homeboy.
Yes,
And it shows when you're working with people. No, it really does, because you're like, okay, these are my
Yeah,
people.
absolutely.
And so you're married.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm married. 38 years of blessed marriage because I have a wonderful wife. I
Really?
have 5
That
children.
support you in this, and 5 children.
Yes, ma'am. And 5 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. 1 great-grandchild. I'm sorry.
Wow,
I get
5
confused on the number.
children, 5 grandchildren,
Right.
and 1 great-grandchild.
That's correct. Yes.
Isn't that amazing? And you've been able to do all of that with this big responsibility.
Yes, ma'am. I'm a family man.
Mhm.
Family and God is my pilot.
Yes,
And,
yes.
People ask me, how can you do what you do? And I just point up. I say, God's my pilot.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you shared with me that you've been working somewhat in this environment
Mhm.
since you were
14.
Years old.
Yes, ma'am. Started working at it was Brittany Dobbs Cypress Chapel on Warm Springs Road
Mhm.
in 1964. I was 14 years old. I worked there all through high school. Right out of high school, I went to Mortuary College up in Atlanta. Went
Mhm.
to Jones, graduated, came back and worked with Strickler Handy Mortuary.
Okay, Strickler and
Yes,
Hamby.
ma'am.
Okay.
Worked there most of my life in the death industry.
Mm-hmm.
And they were bought out in '95 by a big corporation.
Right, a national group.
A national
Okay.
group, and I had a hard time the last 5 years supporting their objective. I brought up,
Because this is your home.
well, it's
And
my home.
you had a focus about the people that live here.
It was all about servicing the families with respect and honesty
Right.
and providing.
It wasn't about sales.
Wasn't about the money.
Exactly.
And that's the way it got to be with the big corporation. So I resigned the day I turned 50.
Did you?
I did.
Wow.
I just couldn't support the objective. You know?
Well, and then it's your home. And a lot of times people don't understand those that are transient and they come and go. This is your final resting place. These are the people that knew you before you were from a boy to a man.
Yes, ma'am.
And so it's important to you how you handle your village.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's my thing. I tell people, I say, you don't understand. Some of these people, they knew me before I even knew who I was. So how can I not honor and respect them? And so that's the way you feel about the city.
Absolutely. 100%. I support the objectives of the churches here in Columbus and the groups that are trying to help prevent the violence and the gunfire, you know, the killing. I support them 100%. And I try to do everything I can. At 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, when I go knock on the door,
Oh, Lord.
and they say, "Who is it?" and I say, "It's Buddy Bryan," they know exactly why I'm there.
Exactly.
I start hearing the crying before they ever open the door.
Well, exactly, because like we said, you are the most recognizable, whether you're in the grocery store, church, in the mall, people know you.
Yes, ma'am.
I just am not sure that everyone knows you're an elected official. Because usually when you're on the ballot, you know, you don't have a lot of people running to do this job.
No, ma'am.
This is real work.
Yeah, thank God I run unopposed, and as long as my health holds out and the citizens of Columbus want me, I'm going to be here for them.
Right.
I've already made that commitment in life.
And this is not a fluff photo op type job, because you're working day and night in some very, very strenuous and stressful situations.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's not you just get to dress up and come to this office every day in your nice suit and your secretary, and it's not always, you know, a happy thing.
We're hands-on. We're hands-on with our families, and we follow through with the proper procedures when it comes to death certificate, making sure we made the right decision on the cause of death and the manner of death. And anytime there's a case where I'm on the fence, I always side with the families. I want to always side with the families.
Okay.
You
Well,
know,
that's wisdom.
Absolutely. Suicide has a stigmatism
Right.
about it. And, you know, if I can determine that it was an accidental shooting
Right.
instead of a self-inflicted,
Right.
I'm going to do so for that family.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that's very important.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, what we're going to do is take our first break, go to our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Sounds good. Thank
We'll
you.
be right back after word from some of our sponsors.
Straightforward is brought to you by State Senator Ed Harbison, serving the citizens of Georgia's 15th Senatorial District and on the front lines for veterans every day. Progressive Funeral Home, family owned and operated since 1952. The George Ford legacy of high standards continues today in the compassionate and professional services provided. A touch of dignity for those who care. Progressive Funeral Home, 4235 St. Mary's Road, trusted by generations. The Columbus Memory Center, 7196 North Lake Drive, Suite A, Columbus. Dr. Jonathan Liss is a board-certified neurologist and sleep specialist committed to battling Alzheimer's by preserving independence, offering you the opportunity to get your memory number for free, the only vital sign for brain health. Call today at 706-327-4000 or visit columbusmemorycenter.com.
And welcome back to Straightforward. Today we are visiting with our awesome coroner, our native son, Buddy Bryan. I tell you, we're so blessed to have you in this job. Your love for Columbus, which is your home. All of your children are here. Your grandchildren are here. I mean, you are fully vested in this community. Knee-deep. I mean, there is no getting out for you. The only way you're going to get out is when you move from work to reward. And we need you to stay around here for a very long time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you ran for this office. So tell me, how did you get here? Because you're elected official, and this is not one of those check the box roles. You know, some other seats you can run for and not actually have the technical knowledge and, you know, just dress up and show up, but not this role. So how did you get here?
Well, it started when I was 14 and went to work in the funeral business.
Okay.
I worked there all through high school, went to mortuary college, came out, stayed in the industry for a long time.
Till 50, and then we
Yeah.
left Striffler.
I left Strickland.
And then you decided to throw your hat into the ring to be an elected official.
Yeah, well, during prayer 2012, I was a six-figure income doing medical sales.
You prayed about it.
And I prayed, and God said, you need to run for coroner. And my biggest concern at the time was income. What does it make?
Right,
And
because
that
you were
was-
making six figures.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
And
this
that
is
was-
not a job you'll get rich from.
No. When they
Right.
showed me what it was, I thought, well, you know what? My wife's high maintenance. We didn't talk about this.
I know, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, I took his lead and I ran and I won, and I'm so thankful. And then I realized.
And that was in 2012?
2012.
Okay.
I realized that God brought me full circle.
Mm-hmm.
He knew what He was doing with me from the time I was born till today.
Right.
And I'm so blessed to have this position to represent the citizens of Columbus, because they needed good representation. We didn't have it prior to my being elected, but now
Right.
they do.
Right, and where someone was gonna be fully committed,
Right.
fully engaged,
Yes, ma'am.
regardless of what side of the city. See,
Um,
and that's what I like. No, because sometimes the way people interact
Mhm.
depends on the zip code. Well, I have seen you
Yes, ma'am.
on the south side,
Mhm.
and I've seen you north of Macon Road in
Mhm.
my subdivision. And the way that I've observed you interact with families and the way that you connect has been consistent.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think that speaks to who you are. And that's why we need to keep you in this role. It's important. People don't understand how important your role is until they have to interact with you.
Yes, ma'am.
And, you know, none of us ever want to do that. We need you. You're the best. But like you said, sometimes you've knocked on doors,
Mhm.
and when you say who it is, you can hear
Yes, ma'am. They know why I'm there
exactly.
because of my name recognition. And I love the media. I love exposure because it gets me out in front of the
Mhm.
citizens, and that's what I want. I want them to know that I represent them, and that I'm going to be honest, and that I have integrity and high morals.
Right.
Those are important.
And you're gonna
features.
use the same standard for you, for them as you use for your family.
Regardless.
Right,
Yes, ma'am.
because all of us love our family members,
Mhm,
regardless.
mhm.
Some of us have some that drift off the path,
Yes, ma'am.
but we still love them. We still love them.
Yes, ma'am. I don't judge people by their past.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, if I have a homicide and the guy's 22 years old, he's been in and out of prison, that's immaterial to me. He's still a human being. He's still
Exactly.
somebody's loved one, or, you know,
It's somebody's
son.
child.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And I'm going to pay them the respect they deserve, and
Mhm.
the parents and all the friends as well.
Mhm.
And I have people come up to me all the time. Out eating last night, I had a guy in the booth behind me. When he got up, he said, "Mr. Buddy, I want to thank you for what you do.
Mhm.
You were very considerate, and when you pronounced my sister about a
Mhm.
month ago."
See?
And you know that.
And
just
you're
warms
working
my
so
heart.
much, you just can't remember everybody, because
I can
you're
remember.
all times of day and night.
I can remember her.
Mhm.
I didn't remember who all was in the house.
Exactly.
The legal next of kin I would remember because I deal directly with them.
Exactly.
And I remembered her. I remembered his sister.
Mhm.
And I made a statement about why I was there and what circumstances were. And he knew I knew what I was talking about.
Mhm.
He knew I connected.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, you shared a story with me in a sidebar when we were getting ready this morning, and you were talking about with COVID,
Mm.
and it was so unknown,
Hmm.
and then all the calls you made,
Hmm.
and people didn't disclose that everybody in that house had COVID, and then you found yourself
Hmm.
because no one fully disclosed. And
Yeah,
then
right.
that was you said you were what, how many minutes away from death?
I was right on the verge of it. I couldn't get up
Really?
and walk 3 feet without having to sit down and try to get my breath back.
Really?
Yeah, my oxygen level was stayed really low, and they tried to put me in the hospital, but I refused to go. They did a 5-hour infusion with antibiotics.
So my point is, even with all that you work with,
Mm-hmm.
it can happen to you.
Oh, absolutely.
And you were very close. You
Oh.
told me, so I was very close, but I wouldn't go to the hospital.
Would not.
So what? Because you just feared that if you went, you would not be coming out.
I'd be put on a respirator, and I'd be like the other ones that I've been pronouncing dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. And that's just part of the job. We're exposed to all kind of elements, and we faced it. I tell you what upset me the most about that is the governor gave a $5,000 check
Mm-hmm.
to public safety. We are public safety.
Right.
We didn't get it because he said we didn't fall under the definition of first responders.
You are a first
Governor
responder.
Kemp did not give the coroners, deputy coroners, the bonus. And we
Really?
were right in the middle of it more so. Dispatch people got it, 911 operators got it.
Right.
They weren't out in the field calling people, you
Oh,
know,
I know. And you're out all times of day and night. And
all
when
kinds
the
of day and
police is rolling, you're rolling.
night.
And sometimes you're rolling if they're not rolling because
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
exactly.
I'm gonna bring up another thing. Our governmental body here in Columbus
Mhm.
gave public safety people a $3,000 bonus. Now my folks got it. I didn't get it because I'm an elected official. Now I don't understand being an elected official and being the key player.
Right.
Well, I
the
wasn't
leader
entitled
of the
to it.
team.
I don't get bonuses
Really?
that everybody else gets. No ma'am.
Oh, I never knew that. And I am
Mm-hmm.
a city council watcher,
Mm-hmm.
but I was not aware of that. And there again, when we assume we don't have all the facts information, you are, in my mind, you know, public safety,
Yeah, well, absolutely.
first responder. So I was thinking when I heard it, bonuses, everybody got one. And now you're saying your team, but you did not because you're elected
That's
official.
right. They say it would become a permanent part of my salary, my income. Okay, well, I can understand that. If you give me a $3,000 bonus last year and a $5,000 bonus this year, you just increased my salary by $8,000 and it's
Exactly.
going to continue. I can understand that. I still
Right.
don't think it's fair.
Right. And we want to make sure that we're treating all of our staff the same.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah, we want to be fair. We want a level playing ground. Okay, well, what we're going to do is go to our sponsors and we'll be right back.
Okay, thank you, Gloria.
We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors.
Apple Tax Services for the best in tax preparation. 7413 Whitesville Road, Columbus. Call for your appointment today at 706-243-2590 or 706-243-2595. And remember, an apple a day keeps the audits away. The Miley Agency, 4903 Armour Road. Gerald L. Miley and William Ripsinger have been providing comprehensive reviews and insuring families in Georgia and Alabama for more than 50 years. The Miley Agency will work non-stop to find you the best policy at the best price. You can rest assured that your information is secure, confidential, and protected. Call today at 706-996-2045.
And welcome back to Straightforward. I'm continuing this wonderful conversation with the one and only Buddy Bryan, Columbus's native son. As Ed Harbison, the senator, would say, doing it good for the neighborhood. You're working very hard and a thankless job. You will not get rich doing this job, but truly, I am grateful because I know the quality of your work and your character. It speaks. You know, I saw once on social media, it said, if you're lying, you don't have to tell the people you're lying. They'll be able to look and see. So that's the thing that we know about you. So your staff, the hours, how does all of this work?
Well, it's 24/7. There's no doubt about that. 365 days a year. We're there for the citizens during the heat of the summer, the cold of the winter,
Exactly.
storms, rain, whatever it takes, middle of the night.
You can't say, I'll be there tomorrow.
No, ma'am,
Yeah.
you go immediately.
Right then.
When I took office, I demanded my staff, my deputies, to be on the scene 20 minutes after they get the call.
Really?
Well, every minute seemed like an hour to a family.
Exactly.
And you're not gonna get up at 2 in the morning, take a shower, brush your teeth, comb your hair, get dressed, lollygag around, and be at a house 40 minutes later. Not on my shift, you're not.
Okay.
20
So
minutes.
you gotta have clothes laid out, almost
You gotta
like an
be ready.
expected mother, when we're waiting to have the baby, we
Yes,
got the
ma'am.
bag ready and everything,
Mhm.
so the staff is expected when they're on call
Yes, ma'am.
to be prepared and ready to roll out.
Amen.
And that is a requirement.
It is a.
And so how many people do you have on this team? Because when you came in 2012,
Mhm.
I worked with the Census Bureau, so I know the population
Mhm,
has
mhm.
changed from 2010 to 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So we have fewer citizens in the county.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we have more than 200,000.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
did your staff increase? At least you should have about 10 people.
Well, I'm very fortunate. I inherited the best administrative coordinator that you could ever ask for,
Mhm.
and that's Malika Hampton.
Okay.
And she's wonderful. I call her the queen because she manages this whole office and all
Right.
the paperwork. She takes a lot off of me,
Right.
and she's
It's
wonderful.
quality staff.
Quality.
And you can depend on her.
You better
And
believe
she's
it.
very professional.
Hey, listen.
Because I spoke to her on the phone and she
Amen.
was back with me in less than 5 minutes.
You couldn't ask for a better
Mm-hmm.
person to represent you.
Right.
When I was elected in 2012, we did 626 death investigations, and I had 2 deputies. So it was me and Charles and Freeman, and we had 1 forensic driver and Malika.
Mm-hmm.
And we suffered through 7 years of me begging the city council for a third deputy.
Wow.
And I was clocking up about 580 hours a month.
Really?
And my deputies were doing a little over 450 hours a month, because we're on call.
Yeah, but then
We
you're
might not be working, but we gotta.
But still, you got to be prepared.
Hey, listen, you
See,
can't,
that's when you're dangerously tired.
you can't go out to eat. You
Right.
can't go outside to cut the grass. You can't leave the county.
Mm-hmm.
So we were mentally and physically exhausted.
Exactly.
Working.
And rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
7 years. Every year I went before city council, telling them I need a 3rd deputy. Finally, Evelyn Pugh,
Mm-hmm.
bless her heart,
Right.
stood up and
Carver
said,
graduate has
Absolutely.
passed on from work to reward.
smart lady,
Mm-hmm.
said, Mr. Buddy cannot determine how many deaths there are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to help him. Immediately they had a vote. 8 people voted for me to have a 3rd deputy, and if you watch it, you'll see me jump up in the air. And hallelujah, Jesus, and praise
Right, because
God.
that was taking some of the physical stress
listen.
off of your team, which is a small team.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
this is a lot of territory to cover in Muscogee County
is.
because we're a consolidated
That's
government.
right. Now, when I was elected, we were a population a little over 180 something thousand.
Exactly.
Now we're at 208,000.
I know.
And last year we did 1,250 death investigations versus
1,250.
626.
So you just doubled
Doubled up. And
with the
homicide.
same staff.
Well,
3 people. Three
me and
deputies.
3 deputies now.
But still.
But I was, yeah, because they gave me that 3rd deputy. I
Yeah, but that's still, to me, and this is a lay person, someone who was a social worker
Mm-hmm.
that worked at the Department of Family and Children's Services, dressed up and broke with a college degree at $24,000 a year. It does not seem like enough staff. And I've had field staff with the Census Bureau.
Mhm.
So when you got this much geography,
Mhm.
and then we have so much going on, not just if we have violent crime, but you're showing up if there's a death at the
Oh, yeah.
house, if somebody died.
Mhm.
So I don't know if people are looking at the bigger picture is what I'm saying.
No, because they popularized homicides.
Mhm.
Everybody wants to know the number of homicides, but they don't want to know the number of suicides,
Right,
accidental deaths,
right.
natural deaths.
Right, people just old and sick or died or
That's
had a
right.
heart attack in
Yeah.
their sleep and no foul play. So
hom-
we have to factor all of that in. though.
homicides that's percentage, about a very small percentage of what
Really?
we do. Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so like the COVID story.
Ooh.
When you went there and everybody in the house had COVID, they didn't tell you. Then you
Didn't
went to
tell me.
another house, that person died from COVID.
Yeah,
But that wasn't a street crime, that you were going into someone's home.
that's right.
So when we're looking at staffing for you,
Mhm.
we gotta look at all of that.
It has the whole ball of wax, and unfortunately, the higher ups in Columbus, the mayor, the city manager, the council, they really don't have a true concept of what we do. Now they're getting better.
Right.
Don't get me wrong;
Mhm.
they're getting better.
Do you think they need to go on a field trip? I've
Well-
seen them take field trip with the business developers. Here I go on a field trip, because for me, just spending the time with you today, it's a lot.
I don't think they could handle it. I think Bruce Huff could.
Oh, yeah,
my
'cause he's
buddy,
grown
he's
up
in the
in it.
business,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
ma'am, and he can tell these other council people, hey, listen, y'all have no idea, no concept about what we do or he does.
Right.
But it's getting much better, and I gotta say that, you know, the mayor and the city manager, I've befriended them finally.
Okay.
You know, they understand I'm straightforward.
Well, straightforward is the best way to be, because if you're
Uh-huh.
straightforward and you're honest, you don't have to remember what you said. You can repeat it anytime, anywhere, to anybody.
Amen.
Sometimes that'll get us in trouble, buddy. I'm like you.
Mhm.
But that's just the best way to operate. And that way you're not looking over your
Mhm.
shoulder and you don't have to remember what you said.
Right,
Well, this visit is going to be 2 parts.
yes, ma'am.
All right, so this is our first part. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap it up right here.
Okay,
And then we are going to come back with part 2. Because this is very important, and I want to make sure that all the citizens, all our elected officials, and all of our business people know who you are
Thank
and
you.
what you need and how you're making a difference.
well, you're a wonderful person, and having me on your show makes me feel like I am somebody.
All right, I feel special because you're here. All right, then, so what we're gonna do is end right here, and then we'll come back with part 2.
I look forward to it.
All right.
Thank you.
This has been straightforward. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Until next time, be blessed.
What up, world? What's up, Columbus? Be sure to tune in every Sunday, Straightforward with Gloria Strode, right here on NBC 38.